This orphan is driven out by his companions and has nowhere to live, so he ends up staying in an abandoned house that's full of women. An elf girl and a ghost queen both want to marry him, and 3 local demi-humans also want to move in and live with him. His name is Zenus, and lately he's been extremely troubled. Just as he struggles to deal with the harassment from those 5 women, yet another appears. She is Krishna, the strongest female warrior in the empire, and upon meeting Zenus for the first time, she suddenly draws her gun and opens fire. Krishna acts this way because she sees the elf girl Lily living with Zenus, and mistakenly believes he is a criminal who kidnaps children. Lily becomes anxious and quickly explains that Zenus is actually the one who saved her. Once Krishna realizes her mistake, she grows concerned, worried that Zenus, an ordinary person, can't withstand a shot from her gun. But anyone who knows Zenus is well aware that he is far from ordinary. It's just that Zenus has spent all his time in the slums, cut off from information, completely unaware of how powerful he truly is. Krishna becomes deeply curious. For someone to take her attack head-on without injury, they must be a warrior of great renown. Yet she has never once heard the name Zenus. Even so, that alone isn't enough for her to connect him with the mysterious person she's been searching for. Krishna tells Zenus that she is looking for someone who has brought peace to the gangs in the slums. Both Zenus and Lily become tense, fearing that Krishna might uncover their true identities. Krishna, influenced by the nobles, holds a deep-seated prejudice against the slums. She instinctively believes that anyone trying to unify the slums must have sinister motives, and could possibly lead the impoverished to overthrow the king's rule. Zenus, wanting nothing more than to get rid of Krishna quickly, finds something unexpected happens. Krishna, lacking friends in the slums, expresses a desire to use Zenus' place as a base for her investigation. Unable to find a valid excuse to refuse her, Zenus reluctantly agrees to let the warrior woman stay. Lily, feeling resentful, views Krishna as yet another potential rival for Zenus' attention. She climbs onto Zenus' lap, acting in a more intimate manner to show the bond between them. The awkward part is that no one seems to notice Lily's unusual behavior. After all, she's just a young girl, and Zenus sees her only as a sister. If Lily ever learned that Zenus thought of her that way, she'd likely cry for the entire night. After Lily falls asleep, Krishna quietly asks Zenus whether there is a well-known healer in the slums. She recalls inflicting a nearly incurable wound on gang leader Zophia's arm, but just recently, she sees that Zophia's injury has completely healed. This raises Krishna's suspicion. She believes there might be a powerful healer hidden in the slums, someone who could even be controlling the 3 major gangs through magic. Zenus is curious about Krishna's hostility toward the poor, and Krishna shares a painful story. Her mother, a kind-hearted woman, used to give food to the poor. One day, during an attempted robbery, she was killed by the very people she tried to help. Since then, Krishna dedicates herself to training and fighting crime, and her smile disappears. The trauma plants a deep seed of hatred in her heart, leaving her with a natural bias against the poor. During the days Krishna stays with Zenus, she heads out early every morning to continue her investigation. Zenus can only heal gang members while she's away. Unfortunately, one day, while Zenus is treating Zofia, Krishna suddenly returns. The moment she walks in, both women draw their weapons. But before the fight begins, Zofia confronts Krishna. She accuses her of thinking she is fighting crime, when in reality, she is just another pawn being used by the nobles. Minister Calendar has long been involved in human trafficking, yet Krishna never intervenes against such a serious crime. She initially assumes Zofia is just trying to distract her, but when she sees the sincerity in Zofia's eyes and Zenus stepping in to shield her from harm, Krishna begins to waver. In the end, she chooses to investigate Calendar. Using the excuse of preventing thieves, Krishna visits Calendar's mansion to inspect its security measures. The minister doesn't seem bothered by the sudden inspection. He remains calm and welcoming throughout. Still, Krishna notices something odd. So many guards are here, and the security is far tighter than in the homes of other ministers. Claiming she needs to use the bathroom, Krishna sneaks off alone and uncovers a hidden underground prison. Inside, she finds dozens of children locked away. Before she can react, Calendar launches a surprise attack. Krishna is caught off guard and suffers a serious injury. The corrupt minister then attempts to force her to join his private harem. Fortunately, Zofia and Zenus arrive just in time, proving their earlier concerns were entirely justified. Although Krishna is stronger in combat, Calendar's cunning and careful planning nearly bring her down. Calendar fires his gun at Zenus, planning to force Zofia into his harem as well. To his shock, Zenus is completely immune to the attack. Calendar finally panics, and he begins to beg Zenus for forgiveness. In truth, this bastard does not feel any remorse for his actions. He is simply afraid of dying, but Zenus chooses not to kill him. Keeping Calendar alive is the only way to uncover the criminal organization behind him. Once again, Zenus demonstrates the miraculous power of his healing magic. Krishna's severed arm regenerates fully. Only then does she finally believe that Zenus has mastered both defensive and healing magic at an advanced level. Encouraged by Zenus, Krishna pulls herself together. She rescues the imprisoned children and begins to reflect on her deeply biased views of the poor. Her encounter with Zenus changes many things for her. For instance, after so many years since her mother's death, Krishna is finally able to smile again. At the same time, a man is about to lose his smile. Aston, the one who drove Zenus away, leads his team on a mission to hunt monsters. They act like an amateur, drinking heavily the night before battle, leaving everyone in a poor mental state. Things only get worse from there. When Zenus was around, Aston could defeat A-rank monsters without getting hurt. Now that Zenus is gone, Aston struggles even against B-rank monsters. His team suffers serious injuries, and they come dangerously close to being wiped out. Aston wrongly assumes that any healer can replace Zenus. He brings in a mid-level healer named Human, but everything is the same. Without Zenus' powerful healing abilities, Aston's team faces a devastating defeat. If it weren't for Human's efforts, some of the team members would have died on the spot. Aston realizes that even Human, a mid-level healer, is unable to treat the wounded quickly. At this moment, Aston begins to doubt his previous assumptions. Maybe Zenus truly does have a natural talent for healing. He recalls the first time he met Zenus, and at that time, he thought he looked like a beggar. But back then, Aston himself was in a rough spot, with no fame or money, so he invited Zenus to form a team with him. Zenus' healing was so fast that ordinary people couldn't even notice it happening. Aston mistakenly believed he was so strong that he never got hurt in battle. Now, facing the reality of his wounded teammates and the lack of support, Aston decides he must bring Zenus back. The nobles, whom he tries to win the favor of, are constantly pressuring him. He has to gather a new team quickly and defeat the monsters he has already failed to eliminate twice. Aston arrives at the slums, planning to use the gangs to track down Zenus' current whereabouts. When he first meets Zofia, he begins fantasizing about taking her into his harem. However, reality quickly strikes him with a harsh blow. Upon learning of Aston's identity, Zofia immediately starts mocking the man who had expelled Zenus. Aston feels Zofia's hostility, so he reluctantly visits the gang led by Linda. To his surprise, Linda is even better at insulting people than Zofia. She nearly insults him to the point where he could have had a heart attack. Frustrated, Aston speculates that some gang must be willing to accept his commission. To his embarrassment, he is proven wrong. The final gang leader, Loie, is also unfriendly toward him. Aston finds a way to comfort himself, convincing himself that the Zenus he knows and the one the gang leaders know are simply two different people who happen to share the same name. Just then, Aston happens to see Zenus passing by, and he believes that his recruitment attempt will surely succeed. However, Zenus chooses to refuse. Any normal person would never accept such an offer, which shocks Aston deeply. He has always looked down on Zenus and never imagined that he would be turned down. After several failed attempts to persuade Zenus, Aston becomes enraged. Just as he is about to seek revenge on Zenus, Krishna shoots him down with a single shot. Aston knows how strong this woman is, and without hesitation, he immediately flees. Soon after, the three gang leaders gather at Zenus' house. They try to track down Aston, but it's like he has vanished into thin air. The best case scenario is that Aston simply left the area, but if he has joined an illegal organization, Zenus will be in trouble. Hiring an assassin requires a large sum of money. Just when everyone thinks Aston can't afford to take revenge on Zenus, Zofia suddenly says something. Recently, a mysterious figure has appeared in the illegal organization. This person will accept commissions without payment, as long as he finds the task suitable. Late into the night, Zenus lies awake, unable to sleep. Lily tries to comfort him, but she falls asleep more quickly than Zenus. Zenus isn't worried about retaliation, and he just feels a bit complicated after seeing Aston again. To help Zenus shake off these negative emotions, Carmilla starts talking about the technology from 300 years ago, hoping to distract him. The plan works perfectly. When Zenus hears about the technology to create life from 300 years ago, he shows genuine interest. Just then, a powerful tremor shakes the ground, resembling an earthquake. Carmilla flies into the air to investigate, and suddenly she shows a serious face. A monster is causing destruction everywhere. Many slum dwellers are fleeing in panic, knowing that if they get stepped on, they'll be crushed into pulp. The monster stands as tall as a castle. Carmilla tells Zenus that the creature was created using technology from 300 years ago, a product of demon craftsmanship. However, even the Demon King has already been defeated, and Carmilla does not understand who could still possess such techniques now. Zenus does not have time to investigate where the monster came from. He instructs the three gang leaders to gather the injured. At this moment, the gangs act more like a charity organization as they work actively to rescue people. Zenus casts a mass healing spell. Those with light injuries recover immediately, while the severely wounded have to be treated one by one. His anger is just as intense as when he was betrayed by his former teammates. Aston has just shown up, and now such a disaster follows. It is clearly not a coincidence. At the same time, a mysterious man, whom Zofia once mentioned, is watching Zenus through a telescope. The monster is his creation. He unleashes this chaos to test Zenus' abilities. The results surprise him. He never expects Zenus' healing magic to be so powerful. However, the mysterious man does not choose to flee. Healing the wounded is not enough. Only when the monster he created is also defeated by Zenus will everything truly be over. Carmilla cannot understand how such a creature could exist. Creating a monster like this requires high-purity magic stones, which were already depleted during the Great War between humans and demons 300 years ago. Moreover, with the extinction of the demons, dark magic should have been lost forever. None of these questions can be answered until the group captures the mysterious man. For now, they have only one task left, which is to defeat the monster to end the chaos. Zenus casts attack and defense buffs on the 3 gang leaders and provides them with instant healing during the battle. With his support, the 3 leaders are able to continuously inflict damage on the monster. Zenus notices that the creature has a self-repairing ability, but each repairing takes time. He quickly instructs his allies to focus their attacks on the monster's legs. Just then, something unexpected happens. The monster begins to fall, and a girl is directly in its path. At the last moment, the monster shifts its posture to protect the girl from being crushed. Carmilla tells Zenus that the monster should not possess any intelligence, so this behavior must mean something is wrong. After investigating with Carmilla, Zenus concludes that the monster is an experimental subject created using Aston. There is a reason Zenus suspects this. Many years ago, Aston watched his sister die because he couldn't afford medicine. Since then, his pursuit of money and power made him lose his kindness. Perhaps the girl reminded him of his sister, which briefly brought him back to his senses and caused him to protect her. At this moment, the mystery is solved. The monster is indeed Aston. He had hired the mysterious man to assassinate Zenus, but ended up being deceived and implanted with an incomplete magic stone. This kind of experiment requires strict conditions. The subject must be a human with a simple mind and strong negative emotions. That is why the mysterious man accepts missions without payment. He is only using them to find suitable test subjects. Now the real challenge falls on Zenus. Under normal circumstances, he has only one option, which is to kill Aston. However, after witnessing Aston protect the girl, Zenus feels a trace of pity for his former teammate. Because of that, he chooses a far more dangerous solution. Like a surgeon performing an operation, he begins to dissect the monster's stone-like body. Zenus then casts magic to regenerate Aston's limbs while carefully removing the embedded magic stone. He's determined to track down the mastermind lurking behind the scenes. Zenus is sure that Aston lacks the knowledge to create a monster, and it's even less likely he'd voluntarily use himself as a test subject. Besides, Zenus also feels some gratitude. After all, it was Aston who first brought him out of the slums. These reasons together form the basis of Zenus' decision to save him. In the end, thanks to Zenus' efforts, Aston, who was supposed to die, narrowly escapes death. In that moment, Aston finally realizes that he is the one who is useless compared to Zenus. It was Zenus' healing magic that allowed their team to defeat powerful monsters in the past. Aston offers Zenus a sincere apology. After everything he has experienced, he finally understands how much of a fool he's been. Zenus tells Aston that there's no need to apologize, as he will help ease his guilt with his fists. In the next moment, Aston goes flying from Zenus' punch. But that's not the end. Since Aston causes damage to the slums, Krishna arrests him. He now needs to continue atoning for his actions in prison. Just when Aston thinks he loses everything, Krishna, following Zenus' request, gives him a gold coin. Tears well up in Aston's eyes. He feels truly moved that Zenus still remembers him. After a long night of chaos, Zenus heads home with the support of his harem companions. Meanwhile, the mysterious man chooses to withdraw for now, but in the future, he plans to return with an even darker scheme aimed at Zenus. That brings the end of episodes 4 to 6. I wonder do you enjoy it as much as I do? Personally, I'm quite satisfied. The protagonist is no longer an unbeatable force, and an enemy finally appears who can truly challenge Zenus. Just who is this mysterious figure, and how does he possess demons' technology from 3 centuries ago? Let's look forward to the subsequent story together. Well, that's it for today's recap. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next episode.